So she called me, she's like, well, how long do you want us to? Yeah. It's already over there. Like, these dimensions, like the house looks great. Yeah. And she's like, that's 14 net hours, so the bill will be $1,120. I was like,
I've never.
so I just haven't responded yet. I use it there. Yeah.
Done. Like the most I think we paid for food was like $500.
That's what I texted my rate. I was like, how much would you charge for 14 net hours? She's like, $490. And it was bitches charging that. Yeah.
Well, I used to work REO, and my max was I paid $26,000 to trash my house.
26 grand.
26 grand to trash my house.
How big was it?
It was, it was a good sized house in the bar, the property, and there was just trash everywhere.
I mean, the junk out only cost $450.
Dude, I would fight that.
And then, yeah, the color, like,
That's a lot.
double, but then you put it around.
Okay, I'm here to teach you guys about buyers today. So, who do we have here? I know some people from North, are you new? Kind of. Okay.
Yeah, he's brand new.
He's brand new. Okay, awesome. How many people in here have been in real estate less than 3 months? How many have been less than a year? Okay, awesome, awesome. How many of you have signed a client? Most of us, kind of, sort of, okay. I was hired on by Josh. I was an REO asset manager at Soul Bank on foreclosed properties. And so I'd done that for about 3 years, and I started working with Josh. He hired me to be his lead buyer specialist. So the idea was that I would work with buyers and then build a buyer team. And that was the trajectory. That was 5 years ago. So today, Jackie's my showing partner, Denise is on our team, McCall's in the third team. So I have learned from Josh directly. He was my mentor. He taught me everything I know I'm going to teach you, what he taught me about buyers and buyer consults. And so the idea is that once you get a buyer lead, you want to know how to convert it, and then you want to know how to sign that client and get started in the process of budgeting. Okay, any specific questions you guys want me to make sure to cover before we get started, just to make sure that everybody wants to learn specifically? Yes.
I'd like to just kind of walk through your process of pre-qualifying buyers on the phone.
Okay.
Versus like, or anything that you do before the appointment.
Okay.
Maybe what you don't talk about until the appointment.
Okay.
And then kind of like financial, just different like little things that you've done over time to make buyer transactions as smooth as possible. Maybe some of the most common problems that you run into.
Okay, awesome. I love it that you want to know about that, because so much of so many of the problems you have in a buyer transaction come from not setting the expectations properly in the consult. So when people just go and meet their buyer at the house and go ahead and start the process, I feel like, oh, you have missed so many opportunities to make this process smoother for them by educating them on process and setting their expectations about what's going to happen. So we definitely will talk about that. So anything else anybody else specifically wants to learn about or talk about? Okay, the very first thing, I brought you guys a script. So the very one, we're all cash talk, right? Here's what that stands for. Knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. Okay, Josh always talks to me cash. He's always talking about cash. Okay, what are we learning about? Being learning based and learning focused is all about either your knowledge, your attitude, your skills, or your habits. So we're gonna talk a lot about skills today. This is buyer work. This is a lot of skill. And some of it's mindset too. So one of your number one most important skills, whether it's listing or buying, is how to convert a lead to an appointment. Hands down, one of the most important things you can do is convert a lead to an appointment. So I brought you guys a script. This is the script that we use on the Stern team, and I'm sure we didn't make it up. I'm sure we got it from other people. We call it LP Mama. And I like to think of it as if you were a doctor and a patient came to you, you couldn't diagnose them until you had a conversation with them about what their issues were, right? When a client calls you on the phone and you try to set an appointment, they're like, you don't know anything about me. How do you know that that's what I need? How do you know an appointment's what I need? I just want to go see the house. After the appointment. But if you're the doctor, then you know that they really do need to come in. this one here. Oh, yeah. Okay, awesome. There you go. So LP Mama, and really these are talking points. This is not all encompassing. There are things in here. The problem that I see with most agents when they're getting started is that they don't listen enough and they don't ask enough questions. And they try and go straight to what do I want instead of listening to that client, listening to that buyer. What does that buyer need? What do they want? So when first someone calls in on the phone, hey, maybe it's a lead you found, and you're calling them up, or maybe they were referred to you by someone. So we just start asking questions. We start trying to find out. LP Mama stands for. Okay, location. Hey, I'm looking at your house on 123 Main Street. Oh, okay, let me pull that up for you. Everybody's calling in on that one. Let me see what's going on with that. Hey, were you driving past it? How did you find it? Oh, you're standing in front of it. Okay, you live in that area? Let's start having a conversation about the area, about the location. What is it about this area? What is it about the house in this area that drew you to it? Oh, well, I just lived down the street. I work down the street. I drive past it every day. I saw the sign in the yard. Thought I should look at it. Oh, okay, that's awesome. So I'm going to pull that up. Looks like this house, 22 Main Street, is priced at $350. Is that the price point you're looking at? Oh, $350. Wow, that's super low. Oh, really? What's your max price point? How are you looking? So for what is it right for you? That's perfect. How we talk a little bit about price. We're going to talk about sometimes you tell them price. Oh, it's 600,000. Oh, really? Oh no, is that too high? What price point are you looking at? What price do you want to be in? How do you talk? Well, and then you can jump around in these. And when I start talking about price, sometimes I'll jump down to mortgage. Oh no, do you have your golden ticket yet? Everybody on my team knows what this means. You guys know what the golden ticket is, right? Bravo! Golden ticket. I need my golden ticket. I want to the factory. No, you don't want my ticket. Golden ticket. So that's a golden ticket. So we talked about mortgage. Have you talked to a lender yet? No, you haven't. And here's the thing. You guys are going to be tempted during this process. If you start talking about mortgage and they don't have to talk to one, you're going to be tempted to be like, oh man, I got a great lender. They're so awesome. I'm going to get you in touch with them. And that client's going to do that. You don't have enough to know that I wanted a lender. You can't, I used to tell Rick, you are not allowed to ask for an appointment until you know enough about them. Because until you know, you gotta keep asking questions and getting the answers. If you go for that appointment too fast, you will lose it. So you gotta slow it down and understand that. Understand what they're looking for. Oh, I'm talking to the lender yet? No, I've just been running some mortgage calculators online. Okay. So again, this is the price point you want to be in. Our second M is our motivation. Why do you want to buy a house? Are you renting now? Do you live with family? Do you own a house? Oh, I'm just living with family. Oh, no, I'm renting. Oh, are you renting? Okay. Are you in a lease or is it worth the month? Oh, it's a lease. Okay, when's your lease up? Not until December. We're just kind of getting started early. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you know what? Actually, your timing is perfect. Your timing is perfect. So and you can give people things one way. Yeah, the process of buying a house can take you anywhere from usually 45 to 90 days. And we're coming into August, so your timing is perfect for you to find a house and get in before your lease is up. You can move straight across. Really smart. Good job. I'm in a lease. It's month to month. Oh, awesome. So you're super flexible. As soon as you find the right house, you can move, right? Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. This one I use agent. I don't know what it has in the paper. Am I following the paper? I think it's a group. Oh, group. So that's that. They're doing mortgage there. Are you agent here? Do you have someone helping you, or are you just looking on your own? And so again, these are all my pre-qual questions. Because at any point in any of these, I mean, I like to do this one like close to the front because do you have someone helping you, or are you looking on your own? Usually they will tell me, oh, I'm just looking on my own. If they tell you they have an agent, oh, awesome, who's helping you? You can figure out who they're working with. Oh, that's awesome. They're going to take really great care of you. This house, here's the stats on it. They can absolutely call and schedule to get you to see it. Okay, so we're talking about agent, who's helping them, they're working on their own. So I've qualified them, I know whether or not they talk to the lender. I know whether or not they have an agent helping them, I know why they're moving. I know what their time frame is a little bit. And so if somebody's gonna lease, and so I've had people call me up, yeah, my landlord is selling the house, I gotta be out next month. Oh, you gotta move fast then, right? So we're getting a sense of the urgency of their situation, what do they need? And my lease isn't up till spring, okay, you got plenty of time, hey, that's awesome, because that gives you good time to get educated and browse the market. Awesome, and then our very last one. Okay, so if we check all these boxes, and I know that this is a good candidate for me to meet with, okay, there's a couple of things that I think would be really useful for you. First of all, I want to refer you to a really great mortgage lender, because even though you're thinking about going to your credit unions have really great rates, and sometimes they have really good programs, but sometimes those programs are limited. Sometimes they don't have a wide range of programs. So I want to connect you with my mortgage lender. I work with Intercap Lending. They have fantastic competitive rates, and then they have a really wide broad range of programs. They've got local programs, national programs, down payment assistance. Are you a first-time home buyer? Oh, you are, fantastic. So you're going to qualify for some first-time home buyer programs. My lender's got access to all of those. Are you okay if I have Mandy or Amy reach out and give you a call? I'm going to connect you with them. I'm going to get their information to you and your information to them. What's your schedule like? When are you working? When is a good time for them? So we can feel for when are they available? When can we connect you with my lender? They're connecting with Mandy or Amy or the other thing that would be really useful for you. So I'm going to go into, I'm actually going to call them MOFers. MOFers. A MOFer is, I know I'm giving you all of Josh's secrets today. Do you care or not? Make offer for immediate response. I know that Josh wants you all to be successful, so I know he will be okay with sharing all his secrets with you. So make offer for immediate response. We call them on our team, we call them offers. They are pieces of value that we are offering the client for them to be like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that. So one offer that we offer a client is a great lender. Hey, I've got a really great lender, I want to connect you with them. What's a good type of them to call? I'm not going to go into language of sales today, but there's a lot you can do about how you ask questions, yes or no answers versus open-ended questions. We're not talking about that today, but we're going to, one of the offers we're offering is the mortgage lender. Another offer we're going to offer is what we call our VIP buyer program. This is not as valuable right now in the market we're in. In a seller's market, when there's lots and lots of inventory, our VIP buyer program helps you identify exactly what you're looking for in a house so that we can find it for you and you're not having to wade through hundreds of homes to find the 5 that you want. Okay, so this is something we don't use as much right now in a buyer market. Right now it's like, oh, you got 2 houses, let's go see them. So one of our movers right now is our 5-step. 5 steps to home buying. Okay. So 5 steps. Hey, the other thing that I think would be really useful for you, I love to sit down with my first-time home buyers and educate them on the process so that you know what to expect when you're buying a house, from timeframes, costs, everything start to finish. I find that my buyers who are educated make better decisions. It seems like that would work for you, like you want to be one of those. So would that be of value to you? So and then we'll schedule. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. I'm a first-time home buyer. I have no idea what I'm doing. I would love for someone to walk me through the process. This is the direction we're going with this. Okay, so 5 steps to buying a home. Great. Is Tuesday or Thursday better for you? Mornings or evenings better for you? Or afternoons or weekends better for you? Weekdays or weekends or weeknights? And we've already talked about when you work, when you're available, so I kind of have a feeling that the evening's going to work best for them. Okay, great. Evening best for you. Tuesday or Thursday better. Alternate closes. Okay, so that's one of our movers. Another mover. So maybe this is not a first-time home buyer. They bought and sold lots of homes. Then we're going to talk about strategy. When was the last time you bought a house? That was about 2 years ago. Well, hey, do you know what? Our market actually has changed quite a bit in the last 2 years. It's gotten even more competitive. I don't know if you remember when you bought a house last time. It was pretty competitive. It's gotten even a little bit more competitive now. One of the things I love to do is sit down with my buyers and walk you through some of the strategy we used to win homes in this competitive market. Would that be useful? So I'm offering them things of value for them to come in and meet with you. Your success rate signing a buyer, if you bring them into the office, is much, I don't know the stats, it's much higher than if you just meet them at a house. Okay, bring them into the office so you can meet in kind of a relaxed environment, talk about whatever they want to, what they're looking for, and then I'm gonna go through what you do when they get here. Okay, but this first part is just, hey, the most important thing is this conversion, get the lead to come in and meet with you. It starts your process, it's so much smoother. Anytime I have a client that's really, the transaction's really bumpy, it's either because they didn't bring them in, or because we came in and met, and then they went on hold for 6 months, and then we went and started looking for houses, and they forgot what I told them. So I almost have to do a reset if it's been a long time since we've met the first time. But then we come back in and do the consult again. Okay. So but these are basically, and then another thing is so if I have somebody who's interested in a very specific house, hey, I think it would be useful for you if you came in and we pulled at the map and we looked at other homes that were like this and see if there's more available. Because sometimes you have somebody who really just wants to see that house. Okay, so they want to see that house, and we can go into objection afterwards over that. But hey, another thing would be useful for you would be for you to come in, let's pull up the map, let's look at different parts of the valley in different areas and see what's out there available right now. If there's not anything available right now, then we can wait for something to pop up that is available. Because sometimes they call in a house that's already under contract, right? Sometimes you're talking, they're interested in a home that you pull it up and it's under contract already. Hey, that one's under contract, but then you have the conversation and then we say, let's go ahead and talk about what you're looking for so that when the right house pops up, we're ready to jump on it. Yes.
Are you doing any of these on Zoom?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they're like, hey, in Utah County, are you making them drive up here? Are you kind of meeting them there?
No, so I have used every KW office we have on Wasatch Front. I've had meetings in Ogden, Layton, Bountiful, Leadville, Gabriel, the Orem office. So I will go and meet them, but we'll do Zoom too, because we have a lot of in-state buyers, out-of-state buyers coming in. So we'll do this on Zoom. And then we just set a time for Zoom consult when they can be there, when I can be there. And then we do this, we do our same consult on Zoom that we do in person. I personally like in person, but I feel like Zoom's okay too. There's some tips and tricks to Zoom that you don't need in person, but.
How long is this conversation?
Maybe 15 minutes.
On the phone?
Yeah, 10 to 15 at the most. It's not super long.
And they'll talk?
Yeah. And that's the thing, that's the whole thing is how do you practice, and this is what we do scripts around. We do scripts around getting people to talk and being relaxed enough that they are willing to open up to you and talk to you.
If you have that 10 to 15 minute conversation, what's your success rate?
I'd say 9 out of 10. Yeah, super high. If they will talk to you and you're sincere with them and you're really looking at what's best for them, then they will come in and meet with you. For sure, you're offering them value. You absolutely know that in this market, for someone to go try and buy a house without an agent, they're dead. There's no way they're gonna get a house as competitive as we are right now. If they don't have someone that knows what they're doing, helping them. There's no way they can win an offer if they don't know how to do escalation, if they don't know how to do cash over appraisal, if they don't know how to do timeframes. They're not gonna know that. They need someone, they need you to guide them through the process, and you have to believe that. And I believe it. I believe that any one of you here can guide somebody through a process. You've got training, coaching, and people here to help you that will help a buyer get into a house. Way better than they could on their own, and way better than they could with someone in an office who has no training, no coaching, no mentorship. Right? So bring them in, have them meet with you. Okay, you're doing them a service, you are helping them. You're gonna get paid because you're gonna help them. Okay, so yay, we set an appointment, they're gonna come in Tuesday, okay. Okay. When they come in for the appointment, our buyer presentation, this is one that Josh taught me. Our buyer presentation is built in 4 pieces. Okay, our very first part, forward. Some people call this fraud. You know what that is? It means sales, well, sales. The acronyms of real estate, everything's an acronym. They started making a spreadsheet when we first got started about all the acronyms in real estate. We got to like 200. So, family, occupation. This is your icebreaker. recreation. Okay, family, recreation, occupation goal. Okay, so four is broad. This is getting to know people. This is, we don't just jump straight into business. You take a few minutes, you get to know them, your chance to assess what their personality style is, or which of the DISC profiles they are. You have to get these DISC training, you want to go for DISC training, so that you know how to best communicate with them, how to best help them. Okay, our next phase is our 5 steps. Okay, our next step, our next phase is our VIP buyer system. And then our next step is our paperwork. So they come into the office, hey, I'm so glad you found this. Did you find parking okay? Because I was telling them, so once I set an appointment with them, I email them a confirmation and then I text them the office address. And I tell them in the text where the parking is. Hey, there's parking on the south side of the building, or in front of the streets. When they get there, did you find this okay? Did you get parking okay? We talk a little bit about that. Where did you come from? Learn, if your personality is an I, this is going to be easy for you. If your personality is like a C or an S, it might be hard. But just learn how to smile and relax and talk to people and have fun with them. And get to know them, get to know who they are as people. And they get to like them. You will have so much more success in business if you like people. So like them, have fun with them. Josh really shines at this. Josh is just like so friendly. He's a naturally a guy. He's just friendly and outgoing. He talks to people, he laughs at them, and so we're getting to know them. Want to know, and it's designed this way intentionally. Okay. The reason it's designed this way is because they talk. All right. And then you're gonna talk. And then we go back to.
So the 5 steps of
Yeah. Oh, the 5 steps of home buying, and I'm gonna show you what that is in a minute. And then they're gonna talk again, and then they talk. And then we get to the paperwork, you talk. Okay. So don't fall into the trap here where you're telling them about you. They don't care about you. I mean, they do eventually. They will get to you. They'll be like family with you eventually. My clients are like family. They're totally awesome. But this is them telling you about them. It's telling you about their kids. You want to know their kids' names. You want to know their pets' names. What kind of pet? What kind of dog do you have? Oh, awesome. And in the back of your mind, some of this you're storing because VIP buyers where we know what house they're looking for. And so we're wondering, if they have a dog, we gotta have some yard, maybe. So we're keeping in mind all these things. Where do they work? How close to work do they need to be? So we want to know these things because we want to get to know the person, but it all also is relative to where they want to buy a house. Okay, so they're talking, their family, their occupation, what do they do for fun? They like to go hiking, they like to go skiing, maybe they want to have access to the canyon. And so some of these things will come out. And then when we talk about dream or goal, it's really long-term. Okay, so you guys are looking to buy a house, it's your first house. Are you planning on staying in the area for long? Do you think you'll be here for a long time? I want to get a feel for what their plans are long-term. If somebody's only going to be in their house that they buy for less than 2 years, it might not be worth buying a house. In our appreciating market, it probably still is. But there are costs, and maybe if they don't know where they're going to end up, maybe they don't want to buy a house. So, but generally, it's kind of getting a feel for what the long-term goal is for them. Lee has a speech that she does, a script, I should say, where she talks about the 5 houses. When you're first getting started, let me tell you what it takes, what most people go through when they're buying homes. Okay, their very first home that you buy is your starter home. This is not the home you're going to retire. This is your especially if it's a first-time home buyer having this conversation. Maybe it's just a condo, maybe it's a little townhouse. It's just a starter home. And then you sell that, and you take the equity, you move up, and you buy a little first single-family home. And then you move up, eventually you're going to get to your dream house. But the thing for you to remember is that we are not starting with your dream house. You guys are sharp, you're above average, you'll probably get there here, maybe even here, but we're starting with your starter home. Okay? Setting an expectation. We're not buying something really big and huge and fancy, we're buying a starter home. Sometimes you get a buyer who is awesome, they've saved money and they haven't bought a home yet, and they're really kind of margin in here. That's okay. But I love this from Lee, how she's setting the expectation of which home we're buying. And you can do that here, or you can do that wherever it fits in. The main thing is to learn the pieces of this and then be able to play it. So they're telling us all about what they want. And then we have a little piece that we call safe filing. So Josh calls this safe filing. Safe filing has three things. In safe filing, we're going to tell them what we're going to go over. So this is like 10 minutes. I'm not going to get to know them a little bit. Safe filing, we're going to tell them what we're going to tell them. Okay, we're going to, we are going to do calendars, and we're going to do next steps. Okay. So, Kate, I'm really glad to get to know you guys. I'm excited that you came in here. You're starting to look at buying a house. I think it's really exciting for you. I love home buying. I love buying a home. And my background, I came into this direction. I used to sell vacant homes. It was very corporate, and I love people, so I really wanted to be involved with helping people buy homes. And my sister said, "Hey, that's right. And real estate is a big real estate guy. His name's Josh Stern. You should meet him." So I met with Josh, and just happened to end up one of the biggest real estate teams in the world. So really great for me. But what we're going to cover today, I'm going to cover the 5 steps of buying a home with you. I'm going to cover your VIP buyer program. Oh, I forgot one of the most important parts of setting the appointment. Oh my gosh. I know my team called me on it either. Okay. When you set the appointment with them, you need to give them homework. You give them homework. Their homework is this. Okay. I'm going to give you a little homework assignment. Don't worry. It's not hard and it's not bad. I need you to come up with your top 10 list. Your top 10 list is 5 things that you absolutely must have at home and 5 things you would love to have at home. So for example, I must have covered parking. Boy, I'd love it if I could get a garage. Or I must have 4 beds, but I'd love to get 5. Okay, so you understand? So at least 5 things that you must have and 5 things you must have to love. So that's your top 10 list. And so at the appointment, you give them that, and that keeps them engaged, and it makes your appointment more sticky. They're more likely to come in. I can't believe I forgot to put that in for the appointment. Okay, so give them homework. We're going to talk about the 5 steps of buying a home. We're going to go over your top 10 list. Did you bring it with you? Awesome. Great top 10 list. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to go through when you buy a home, there's lots of paperwork. We'll talk about it. Okay, let's do one other thing before we get started. Pull out your calendar for me, and let's talk about when you were able to go look at homes. If you're working, he's working, when's going to be the best time for us to go out and actually walk through homes? We're going to pull the calendar out right here before we even start. Okay, it's not really close. We're going to be working together. Let's get the calendar out. Okay, so tentatively, Saturday. We're going to start looking at homes on Saturday afternoon. Okay, put that away, that's good. All right, so and then at the end of, now here's a really great script you can use. Nikki Ubaldini did this at family reunion a couple of years ago, and I love it. So at the end of our consult, one of 3 things is going to happen. 1, you're going to see the value of working with me and my team. You're going to choose to hire me. That'd be great. 2, you're not going to see the value of my team. You're not going to hire me. That wouldn't be so great. 3, I'm going to decide that I'm not going to be able to help you, and we're going to shake hands with our friends. Okay, you can use this or not. I just wanted to throw it out because I think it's such a great tool. Why would, and sometimes they will come back and ask you, why would you not work with me? Well, I would rather turn you down now than let you down later. So if you have some expectation that's unrealistic, if there's something that you're trying to achieve in this market that's not possible, then it's better for us just to part ways, and I'm going to refer you to some other agent that might help you. Okay, save yourself some hassle. If you have somebody that's going to try and get a house that's listed for $400,000 for $200,000, do not spend your time with that person unless they can change their mindset and expectations. Okay, because how many of you think you can get that deal? You're new, maybe not know. It's not likely. So, so you can use that. It's just a good nugget for me to love. Okay, so once I've gone through this, all right, 5 steps of home buying. Now, dang it, I didn't bring it. You should have a print buyer presentation. Print packet. Okay, print packet. So ours, I don't know what it is, but it's a bound book. It has that'd be awesome. Thank you, Denise. If you do not have one, they are in command and designs. Command that Keller Williams has made them for you. You can go into designs and print a buyer presentation. You can customize it. You can put your name, your picture in it. You can just use the generic one. I mean, if you need help with that, come to Tech Lab. Not Tech Lab, this week is document opportunities. It'll be probably 2 weeks that we'll be covering some of this stuff in Tech Lab. Okay, but come into Tech Lab, we'll show you how to create a listing presentation booklet and a buyer presentation booklet. Have something that you can actually put in front of them and show them. So I'm sitting at a table with them. I try to sit next to them at the table. Our tables are round, so you're not really sitting across from them. I sit so that they are closest to the door, and they feel safer being by the door. I sit so that they, so that I can see both of them across the table, and I have my book, and we start with 5 steps. So in your presentation book, you will want whatever, and you can, this is all customizable. If you want to have 7 steps in your process, have 7 steps. I think the Keller Williams Buyer book has like 7 steps, but you can customize it however you want. This is what Josh did. Thank you, ma'am. Awesome. Stern Team Buyer Packet. So I literally will sit down with them. Show our Zoomers for recording. I will literally sit down with them and we'll start going through the process. Okay, our very first page talks about our team, has a picture of us, and honestly, this is usually where I tell them about myself and my background. Just a little bit about me. I do talk about, we've got the guiding beliefs from KW, the WICCC to ES, and so I talk a little bit about that, just because it's such a good culture that we want to run their business for life, we want to earn all their referrals, we want to be working with them. So we're going to do business every day.
How often, because I think that's something that we don't do with our buyers, how often do you kind of talk about future business, getting referrals during this presentation?
You just wait. This is my very first place where I bring it up. I bring it up right here where I talk about earning a business for life and about earning their referrals. That's the first place I bring it up. Okay. And then we pull up our 5 steps. So for us, our 5 steps are first, golden ticket. Ticket, remember the golden ticket? I want you to have the factory. The golden ticket gets you in. And you have to be goofy with them. You have to like get them to laugh. If you can get them to laugh with you, you have such a better chance of being in business with them. If they'll relax and like be real with you. So golden ticket, get in the factory. It's a pre-approved, fully underwritten pre-approval letter. Okay, we don't just want rocket mortgage. We want an underwriter to have looked at their file, want this, and if they haven't talked to a lender yet, then I'm going to be coaching them on what I want from their lender. I'm going to refer you to mine. You can work with anyone you want. You can work with my lender. Here's what she's going to do for you. Okay, she's going to verify your income and your employment. She's going to do your tax returns. Yes, she's going to pull your credit. That credit pull is good for 90 days, or in the time frame that works. If you're buying a house within the next 3 months. Okay, it's so important that you have a lender in this competitive market. One of the competitive edges that you bring is that you have a really good, well-known, respected lender. If you have some bank from Georgia that no one has ever heard of, and I'm selling a house and I've got 3 offers and they're very similar, I don't know your lender. I'll trust your lender. That's my first strike against you. Okay, have a good local lender that has a good reputation and that has and is respected. Okay, Intercup's one of those. You can shop lenders, that's okay. You can use any service providers that you want this process. I'm going to refer you to people that I know and trust. Okay, so at least I want to have a conversation about it because I know my lenders are rock star. So once we get that pre-approval letter, our 5 steps are pre-approval. Okay. And then what's our next one? Giving away system. Step 2. Okay. So this is where we're finding you the house that you want. We're not going to go into this right now. We're going to come back to it. I'm just telling you this is the step before we plug in your criteria. We're gonna do some searching online. We're also gonna be checking for sale by owner properties. We're gonna be looking at all the, we're gonna be shaking trees to find you a house. Okay, we're doing all kinds of things to figure out what the right house is. We're gonna make sure it matches your criteria. We're gonna go through that must-have would love list and figure out what it is. Okay, our fifth step is we're gonna select, tour, and write offers. Okay, we're gonna pick your favorites. We're gonna start walking through them. Has have you walked through any houses yet? Have you been to an open house? How did it match the pictures? Sometimes the picture and the real house are not the same. You have to walk through it. If I'm on Zoom and you're in another state, I'm gonna do this for you with a video. I'm gonna walk through houses for you with video of the house so that you get a really great feel. And if you're out of state, we're gonna talk about when are you coming into town? Are you gonna get a house under contract and then you're gonna come see it? Are you never gonna come see it? We have clients buy houses that are sight unseen. That we've done enough video for them, they felt comfortable with it, and they just walked in and they bought it. So somebody out of state, there's some, you're working through the intricacies of that, the logistics of that. We're gonna pick them when they go tour, we're gonna pick the ones that we love, and we're gonna write offers, okay? This is important, this is all one step, because you don't want somebody who forgets this stuff, right? We're gonna write offers. The whole point of this is to write offers. Okay. In our market, super competitive. We're in the middle of an inventory shortage. We don't have enough housing for all the people who want to buy homes. And so it means that we're competing on almost each plan, especially the price point we're looking at. If they're in a higher price point, then maybe there's less of this going on. But honestly, we get people competing up to the $1 million range. So I just like to set the expectation that you will probably be competing. Okay, and I asked them, have you heard about this? Yeah, we actually have a friend who bought a house and it's brutal. Yeah, it can be tough, but you know what? We can get there. It's okay. We close people on homes all the time. So, but we are going to write offers, and when we go to write the offer, we're going to talk about some strategic points of how to win that. Unless they came in for strategy, we might delve into that at this point. Okay. One of the things that I point out to them while we're writing offers, in our buyer packet, we have a copy of the Rep C at the back of the packet. Okay, and we do that for a couple of reasons. One, I'll flip to this at this point. Hey, so we've got a copy of when we write an offer on real estate in Utah, we use our real estate purchase contract. It's in the back of the book here. And which one, if I got a couple, which one use the details person? Okay, you can read this. We're not going to go through this today. This one almost is like, this one's like, you can go through and read this. And when we write an offer, we will go through it point by point because I want you to know what you're signing. But the things I want to point out to you. First, I want to point out earnest money. Okay, earnest money binds your contract. Earnest money is like a deposit. It's like you giving us some money to hold the house. It actually is held by my brokerage. My brokerage holds earnest money. Seller expects to see at least 1% of the purchase price. So now we get to have a conversation about money. We talk about cash savings. Do you guys have some cash saved up? And as you know, I'm not trying to cry, but I need to understand their situation. So if they, and sometimes they'll come out and tell me, yeah, we got 20,000. Or we got, let's tell me how much money they have. So we're talking about spending how much money. Okay, so we're talking about earnest money, at least 1%. So that's the expectations. You have 4 days from the time that you can offer, that they accept your offer on the house to bring your earnest money in. And so, so you don't have to have this in hand where we're looking at houses, but you just need to know that you've got 4 days. It's got to be cash. It's got to be liquid. Okay, so if you need to transfer funds, we'll want to do that when we start looking. So that's the expectation that earnest money is going to be part of the deal. Okay, earnest money. The other thing I want to point out is how we pay for the house. So here's where your earnest money goes. Here's your loan. How much down payment were you going to do? If I didn't talk about it in the, if I didn't talk about it here, here's my chance to talk about it. How much down payment are you going to do? Right, were you thinking 3%? You're going to do 100% financing. And so by this time, you probably have a feel for whether they're going to be 100% financing or do they have 20% down.
I think mentioning liquid cash is really important though, because we have a lot of buyers in smart like for 401ks during COVID they did, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't have liquid cash, and they're like, well, I'm putting $100,000 down with that cash.
Awesome. And so once right here, we're talking about how you're paying for the house, it's a chance for you to talk about those funds and talk about where those funds are coming from, and making sure those funds are available. And now for your down payment, that doesn't have to be ready until we close. We're talking about time frame more as we go, but at least we know how much they're planning on putting down. And now you know how to strategize their offer. If they've got 3% down, it's very different from a buyer who's got 20% down, right? So now you know more about how to help them. So we're not gonna go through the contract. There's things in here, basically it's talking about what's included, what's not included. But let's jump back to the next step. So our next step, we write an offer. You get to decide what you want to offer on the house. My job is to let you know what I see in the market, what other homes are selling for. And my job is to kind of give you a target or prediction so that you know what to expect as far as how to lead this out. For example, I might have a house that comes on the market. This is an exact actual thing that happens with my clients. House is listed at $490. My clients are pretty good at $600. So we got plenty of wiggle room on price, right? But the question is how high, because now we're talking about, will it appraise for that much? Is it worth that much? How much do I want to spend on this house? I look at other homes in the area. I say, I think this home will appraise up to $550. They're listed at $490. The price is super aggressive. I think this house will appraise to $550 based on what I'm seeing. So you might go, okay, awesome. We're going to write all the way up to $550. And we'll talk about ways to do that when we actually write the offer. But I might look at a house for you and I might say, hey, this house is priced at $500. Everything around it is selling at $475. I don't think it's going to appraise. So what that means is you get to decide if you want to write at $500. I mean, in our market, you probably will win it by writing less, but you might. Sometimes it's been on the market for 2 months. Listed at $500, it's never had a price reduction, and we can't go in and offer less. So my job while we're writing offers is to kind of coach you on how to write it. Okay. And that's as much as I'm going to go into on price at this point during the presentation. Because when we actually write the offer, that's when we're going to get really heavy with strategy. Okay. So we're going to write the offer. The seller will either accept it, or they will reject it, or they'll come back and counter. So they may say, hey, I love the price that you're willing to pay, but let's talk about dates. Let's talk about other time frames. Let's talk about what's included, what's not included. So you're going to counter, go back and forth. At some point, the seller will accept your offer, and that's when we are on step 4. Under contract. Okay, Josh's biggest secret that I love right here. So all throughout this presentation, there are points of engagement for the client. There are places where they're interacting. The way it's staggered this way is because if you talk all the time, they will like the glaze over and they will just check out. So you have to keep them engaged and you have to keep them coming back to you. So you can't do too much talking at a time, which is why we have so much of them. And then we're going to talk about steps, and then we're going to flip back to them again, because they need to talk. So, so all through the process, even when he's talking, he's giving them points of response. So we're talking where he's keeping them engaged. He's asking them questions about the lending. He's asking them questions about their savings. He's asking them questions. He's keeping them, even though he's talking, he's still bringing them into it. Okay, under contract, he gets like this big grin on his face. He's like, okay. On the way home today, I want you to go by the gas station. I want you to pick up a pack of Tic Tacs. This is the Tic Tac conversation. Okay? I want you to pick up because at 2 in the morning, when you are under contract, you're going to wake up with a medical condition that we call the cold sweats. And you're going to be like, what am I doing? It's so much money. I don't know if it's the right thing. I'm so nervous. And I want you to know that that is normal. So normal that I'm prepping for it right now. You're going to lay on the couch. You're going to take 2 Tic Tacs. You're going to breathe. And you're going to call me the next day. You can call me 2 in the morning. My phone will be turned off. I'm not going to pick it up. That's okay. But the next morning, I will call you back and I will remind you of all the reasons we buy the house. I will remind you that we're tired of paying someone else's asset. We're going to buy our own asset. We're tired of paying rent and making someone else rich. We are, we want to own the place that's ours and feel safe in. Which is why it's important for you to know their motivation. Because if you don't set the expectation that they're going to feel nervous about this, then they will feel like it's a sign you're not supposed to do it. And I cannot tell you how many times I've got a couple in there, and the husband or one of them will start laughing, and the other one will be like, oh. I'm like, you are already there, aren't you? And she's like, yes, I'm so nervous about this. It's all right. I don't want to make a mistake. Basically, what they're saying. So it's just another opportunity to TikTok's conversation. I was doing buyer consults. There was 1 month I went to Josh and said, Josh, I'm only signing 5 out of 10 of my buyer consults. And he went through with me and went through all the points of engagement. He said, are you doing this? Are you doing this? He said, are you doing the TikToks? I'm like, no, I think the TikToks is stupid. I don't do it. He's like, really? I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do the TikToks. And now I probably signed 8 out of 10 of my buyers. Just because, and not just the TikToks, it's all the little points of engagement that you bring into it. Okay. So I love the TikToks. It's goofy, and I like to just keep goofy with people. Okay, so we warn them about, we don't call it buyer's remorse, we call it cold sweats. Okay, and that's okay. And I bought homes, Rick and I are in the process of buying an investment home right now. I have cold sweats. I'm like super nervous about it. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to buy the wrong property. And just know, Justin actually said something once in a Capper Mastermind, I think it was, that has stuck with me, and I think about it all the time. He said, every property I've ever bought, I feel like I overpaid on. But they've all turned out just fine. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna turn out okay. It's gonna be a good investment. So, so we're under contract. Now, once you're under contract, there's some things that are important for you to know about. We have some deadlines in our contract. Let's flip to the last page. I'm going to show them the deadlines. So you have some points of protection built in here. I have modified this for our current market. It used to be that I'm reassuring them, hey, you can back out up to 3 weeks into the process. I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm talking about, hey, we have a week to do due diligence and homework, and within that week, we'll know if we're going to move forward. Now, if it's a home you really, really love, you may say, hey, I'm so confident that I'm going to buy this house and not cancel on it, that I'm going to go ahead and commit all in 100% right now and write the offer. I usually won't go into this too much during the consult. It's when we're strategizing about the offer that we're writing that I'll go into it more. But if I've got somebody we're talking strategy, we'll talk here about hard earnest money. Earnest money being refundable. Because we talked about earnest money already now here with these dates. We're talking about where their earnest money is refundable. So seller disclosure, seller has to tell you everything they know about the house. They have to tell you if there's been any water issues, they have to tell you if there's been a fire, they have to tell you if they've made any insurance claims, any code violations. They have to tell you everything about the house. Okay, and you might find something in there, and you might, so maybe they had a leak in the roof. They fixed the roof. Okay, no problem. We're going to go ahead and have someone look at the roof, make sure the roof is good. But they may have had a foundation issue, and for you, that might be a deal breaker. You might go, no, not looking at a house with a foundation problem. So at that point, we're already out, and your earnest money comes back to you. And then we can bring in a home inspector. You can use any home inspector you want. You're absolutely welcome to use any vendors that you like for this whole process. I love Pillar to Post and W Brand. Pillar to Post is my favorite because they are the most thorough. I've heard that they're not the least expensive, but they will spend 3 hours going through your house with fine-tooth comb, roof, foundation, electrical, plumbing, everything in between, and we'll let you know everything's wrong with it. Now, I don't want you to be alarmed because no matter what house you buy, when the home inspector goes through, they're going to come back with a big fat bite of honeydews. Okay, and that's okay. I want you to know that that's normal. Most of them are things like this needs to be called and that needs to be sealed and there's a crack in the sidewalk, you know, stuff that you didn't even think about. But here's the thing, that stuff is normal home maintenance. That's you and Home Depot on Saturday, you guys are now best friends for closing, you have to get the Home Depot friends. You and Home Depot are now best buddies when you buy a house. Okay, that's normal stuff. What we are looking for, we're looking for major deferred maintenance, we're looking for health and safety issues, and we're looking for system failures. Okay, we want to make sure the plumbing works, the electrical works, the roof is intact, and that there's no safety issues. You don't want a house that the furnace has is vented improperly, you could get carbon monoxide. That's not safe, and we're not going to let that happen. But if I don't set this expectation with them, when they look at that home inspection report, they want to give me a 20-item list to send the sellers. And you and I know that in this market, you are not getting a 20-item list. Maybe you'll get it. Sometimes. You got a 20-item list?
I got it.
I gave him one. Negotiate that.
I'm like, look, we're already chatting.
He's like, we'll just give you money, just go away.
So, but, yeah, and I can tell whenever there's a 20-item list, I'm like, they don't coach the way we coach. We coach our buyers that we're not gonna be asking for the fees. We are asking for the major issues and the health and safety issues. Okay, so that way they know when they're looking at that inspection report, they already know. We talked about caulking, we talked about all of this. So expectation around that inspection. And then the other thing that's happening is the appraisal in order contract. So then we're talking about, okay, now let's talk about what an appraisal is. An appraisal is an independent opinion of value. Okay, I have an opinion of value based on what I'm seeing in the market. The appraiser, the seller has what they think it's worth, you have what you think it's worth. If there's no financing in the process, then we don't need an appraiser. Cash buyer, what you think is worth, what the seller thinks is worth, we're done. If there is a bank involved, the bank gets an opinion. So the appraiser is going to come in and look and see what do they think this house is worth. They do not want to buy a house that they think is worth less than they're paying for it. So that's what they're looking for. Here's the challenge we have: our market's appreciating so fast that appraisals are having a hard time keeping up. So there's a chance we're looking at homes and I can say, look, it's listed at 500. I think it's an appraisal of 530. Or I can say, hey, it's priced at 500, and honestly, I think it's going to sell. I think the appraisal will come at 500. But I think it will sell for more than that because so many people want it. So we want to get higher. But what are we going to do with that appraisal slow? So we have options with you. If you've got 20% down, you can shift some of those funds to cover the difference. So if we offer 535 and that appraisal comes at 525, you got a $10,000 difference. And this is where you have the choice. If you love this house and you want to commit to it, just say, I'll pay the difference. I'll pay the difference. We don't go into it a lot in the consult. Again, just a little bit so that they know. This is part of the strategy. When we actually are writing the house, we get really, really specific on what we think is going to happen. That's all about risk. It's all about risk. We talk about appraisal, but you know what? After we get through that process, so usually we're about 2 to 3 weeks in by now, and then we go to our final step, which is closing. Actually, I'll just put settlement closing. Okay. Settlement closing in Utah, it's a 2-step process. We're over here signing the paperwork for the buyers. You're over here signing the paperwork for the sellers. Over here signing the paperwork for selling the house. Everyone signs paperwork. The lender funds the loan. You're going to wire your down payment in. Everything comes into the title company. Title company pays off anything needs to be paid. If it's seller's mortgage, any liens, anything needs to be paid out. The title company takes care of that. Record the title in your name. That one will close. I tell you it's a 2-step process, so that you know it's not on committees. I'm going to sign paper for the keys. Okay, it is up to 4 days between. And not only that, but then let's talk about possession. Okay. If no one lives in the house, as soon as it records in your name, it's yours. You get the keys, no problem. But if somebody lives there, they might need time to move out. They might need, maybe they're moving to another house. Maybe they have a house that's being built. Maybe they need some flexibility around that. Something you can give them as a buyer is you can give them that flexibility. You're in a month lease. You're not in a hurry. You can take as long as you need. We can say, hey, take 3 weeks, take 4 weeks, take 45 days. Most loans will make you take possession within 60 days. They will want you to. And so usually 60 days is kind of the max, but you can give them. And the reason you can do that is that if we close on a house, so we are in August, we close on a house in September, your mortgage payment doesn't start October, your mortgage payment doesn't start until November. You're not making double payments. You can give them this time to have some prepaid interest, but it's way more valuable to that seller than cash. This is we were doing this before it was a big thing in the market. People do it all the time. I see it all the time. On this extended possession period, we were doing it 2 years ago, and I had people with deals because we were doing this. So I'm a really big believer in extended possession.
Do you line up your closing dates as opposed to the bond? Like, do you try to do that with your buyers, or do you just kind of want to, like, do you talk to them about that?
No, I do it so that I just look at the 3 to 4 week close window, and then just try to stagger it in the middle of the week so we're not doing things on the weekends. So, and I want you to be kind of how they sell it as far as how fast they need to close it. So, are you kicking us out, Lisa? Yeah, keep going. No, that's okay. We're wrapping up. Okay.
Sorry, so did you set up like a second appointment? Are you kind of touching on all this in that same appointment? Or do you, oh, okay, so you're still in that same appointment?
Yeah, my buyer consults take usually hour 15. So they're a solid hour of discussion back and forth. So it's not depending on how chatty they are. It happens in 2 hours. Yes. Usually somewhere between an hour and a half. And so yes, I'm going getting to know them. I'm going through 5 steps. And then when you have the buyer system, this is where we talk about what they're looking for. This is their top 10 list. And this is where they light up again. Oh, I really want a kitchen, it's bright. Go into drill into what does that look like? What do you mean by that? Describe that to me. And get them to explain what is it a must have? If I found your house that didn't have that, would you consider it? If everything else fit, then you gotta figure out the must haves and the loves. Okay, so it's gotta have these, and then your job when you're showing them homes is to keep them on track with that. Okay, these are the things that you said you had to have, and these things you said were loves. Okay, because we've got this list of 10 things. And if you go through and we walk through a house and you've got 7 or 8 of those, it's like the keys are in your pocket. That's a Josh line. He tells us right. The keys are in your pocket, it's your house. Right off. Okay, so expectation, we're setting the expectation that we're gonna look at a house as long as it checks all the must-haves, and 1 or 2 of the would loves, we're buying that house. Okay. We're talking about location, we're talking about price, we're talking about bedroom size, lot size, yard, parking, driveway, when they're describing the perfect house for you. So you're getting a vision in your head of what that looks like. Okay, and then once we get to that whole process, we're creating great, I know what we're looking for. And my book actually, as I go to my 5 steps in my book, my 5th step here is closing settlement. And then we'll talk about margin conditions. And then we'll talk about how we're structuring an offer. This is all just kind of segue that gets us to toolbox for winning. So here's where we talk about the VIP buyer program. How it would. Okay, so once we get it all figured out, awesome. Okay, here now for me, I have a showing partner. So you're going to get an email and a text from Jackie, my partner, going to do a group text with all of us, and then Jackie's going to be reaching out. Jackie's full-time job is to find you a house. Now, if I don't have a showing partner, I'm going to be looking for houses. I'm going to be sending you, okay, here's your homework. You ready? Mr. Buyer, your homework is, I'm going to send you a connection to UtahRealEstate.com. You get to accept that. I want you searching there because that is the repository for homes. That's where they start. When you're looking on Zillow or Redfin, they're pulling from Utah Real Estate. I want you to start where the data's the freshest. Okay, you're going to create an account. I'm going to send you a connection to create an account. When you pick your favorites, I will be able to see them, and I'll know which ones you like. I want you to rate them from 1 to 5 stars. We're going to look at your 4 and 5 stars, and we're going to go Saturday because we're talking about Saturday being a big day. Okay, so when you get it, so tomorrow morning, first thing, if it's late at night, if it's early enough in the day, I can do it today. You're going to get this connection from me. And your homework is to accept that. Start looking at the homes I sent you. Okay, that's their homework.
When you build that connection, you send that email that makes them, verified as your entire real estate. You send favoriting, automatically whatever they like, it will tell you.
They can rate their favorites. You go to your homepage on the MLS, if you have a connection with someone, it will show you their favorite homes.
Just like that.
Yeah, and then you go to their name, you pull it up, on the homepage, and you go to their client, you pull it up and see their favorites.
I assume you don't have them on your app.
No, I like the MLS so much better. I mean, we pay a lot of money for this app. But you can do KW app. You totally could integrate the KW app into this and have the KW app be your go-to. I'm going to send you a connection to my app. It's the KW app. I can connect on that.
I've cultivated fires.
Yeah.
Just random people, like random people.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally use the KW app, especially when I'm searching outside of Wasatch Front, because it's all my app for complete smarter MLS. So if you wanted to, you absolutely use the KW app. I use the MLS, just for their MLS is really rich. Yeah.
So sorry, how are you figuring out which homes they're liking?
So they will go in, and as they're looking at homes, once they've got an account with Utah Real Estate, they can click favorite, and then when they click favorite, it gives them 1 to 5 stars and rate it.
Okay, so they're doing that on their own, or
Yeah.
not send them some.
Well, so you're going to send them a connection to Utah Real Estate. You're going to do that through the MLS, and I will stay out here and show you how to do that.
So the hole in that is it won't notify you. You have to log back in and look at the front page.
Yep.
And see what they like.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. Yeah, as far as I know, you don't get, can you get applications on that? I don't
Your
know.
showing assistants, the ones making that selection?
Yes, my showing assistants do that, and when I was solo, I was just, didn't have a showing partner, I did it myself.
So my question to you is, by the way, this is very thorough, very awesome. How are you transferring all the notes to make sure your showing assistant understands exactly what you envision so that
Yes.
they get, it's not lost in translation?
Yep, so the handoff for us happens after I sign paperwork, and then we go through the paperwork. Okay, there's a, you know, I've been taking 15 minutes to teach you how to do paperwork, but I basically go through all the paperwork with them, they sign it. And then I take that paperwork, I scan it in, and I email it to my team. And I let my team know we have a new buyer, this is the house we're looking for, so if one of our listing agents have a house coming up, they can let me know. And then I copy Jackie on it, and I describe in that email what we're looking for, and then if I need to, I follow up with Jackie and say, hey, by the way, I didn't put this in the email, or I'll do a follow-up email after that, and describe the house, describe the search. And so she knows, and then if I need to, I call her and talk about it. But that handoff, some of our agents have their showing partner come into the consult with them. And I feel like I don't want to waste Jackie's time with that. Is that where our handles work okay that way, so and then she will reach out and connect with them and say, hey, I'm so excited to start your search. I'm Jackie. I just sent you the connection to Utah Real Estate. Did you get that? It looks like we're free on Saturday to start, 3 o'clock, we're good. You know, she's excited and happy to meet them. I'm excited to go get housing.
So something that I've been like kind of working through / deciding how I want to approach it, right? Like I am leveraging out showings, like I'm having people, of course. How do you ensure that the clients feel like, hey, let's meet with you, help you buy your home, here's so.
Because in the consult, I tell them.
And as long as you,
And I
as
check-
long
and
as you set that.
Yeah, oh,
expectation,
absolutely.
they're-
I am not, every now and then, I have an issue like with the, I had a commercial agent who was really, really young. And my client, I had some clients who were like, yeah, he's just not you. He's young, he's new, he doesn't know what he's doing. Jackie carries herself with enough confidence that I never had that time. And then I stay in touch with them too. I talk to them at least once a week and I check in with them. The way we have our team set up, our showing partners handle the search. They handle showings. They get to the point where the client's ready to write an offer and then they bounce it back. She will text me at the end of every showing or call me and let me know here's what they like. They don't like any of them today. We're adjusting the search parameters, you know, whatever. She knows her job is going to find a house. She kicks it back to me and I run a CMA and we talk about writing an offer. And then she gives it back to me writing an offer.
Do you ever, when you pass it out to a showing agent, do you ever show the house?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're a team. I mean, if she's, and when I tell them I have a partner, and I do this during the paperwork, when you hire me, you hire my whole team. And that means you get my partner, Jackie. Jackie's my showing partner. She is awesome. She is an expert in the field, and her #1 job is to find you a house. If I'm not available to walk through homes, she's walking through homes. If she's not available, I'm available. We're a partner, we work together.
Sometimes they show up with homes they already see.
Yeah, I've had that happen too, where we just go straight up and like, and because sometimes if you have somebody that calls in, you're converting that lead, they want to see a house, absolutely, let's go see it. But you know what, let's sit and walk through it. Let's sit down first and walk through the process so you know what to expect. And then when we're done with that, we'll go to this house. Okay.
Do you have pushback on that?
Sometimes. And if I drill into it, if I get pushback on somebody who doesn't want to come in and just wants me to go see the house, when I drill into it, a lot of times they have an agent, but they just didn't want to bother. So, yeah. So the handoff, so it's so important. If you don't have a showing partner, you're doing it yourself, that's okay. You were gonna ask a question.
It's okay, got it.
Okay. So if you, the transition to make sure that you don't just sign them and forget about them. Some, if you have that personality where you're just like, boom, it's done, and now I'm done, and on the next step. Now, make sure you get them involved in the process of sending searches out and looking at homes, looking at homes, the whole process.
So that is my problem right now, so getting to your equipment, not talking to them for a while.
Because you're busy, you're out doing other stuff, exactly, which is what I love about the show.
Do you have, is she your automated email, is she your connection, or do you also have emails that go out? Like, do you put them on a smart plan website buyer to make sure that you guys are continually staying in touch? I mean, because I do have, I mean, I told people, like, in my buyer equipment, I don't care if they're a year and a half out, I'll just sign buyer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're 6 months down the road, fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have a system in place to make sure you're continuing to follow up?
Yes.
That 6 months, if you haven't passed it on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't want to go up to Jackie if they're not ready to shop up for the next 2 months. I mean, it's gotta be, we're shopping right now, and then it's kind of Jackie. If they're a nurture, then absolutely, we use commissions Inc. Sneak, but you can use Command this, no problem. Put in a smart plan, it's got some kind of touch system, touch follow-up, put in a reminder, call them back, check in, how they doing.
How often do we check? If they're 6 months out?
If they're a long ways out, honestly, I kick it back to our ISAs. And they're checking in once a quarter. So, but I agree, I would rather meet with them, get face to face, build a relationship, than say, okay, you're a year out, I'm not gonna meet with you for my month.
Well, I've learned that when people sign the paperwork, there's like this weird
There's a
transition that like, now they have an agent.
Yeah,
You
that's-
don't sign it, and they're at the open house, right? It's like, are you working with an agent? Well, I talked to them, but we haven't signed it, right? And I feel like as soon as you sign that paperwork, there is that transition.
The other thing too, is that they think they're further out than they are. So they think, hey, I'm a year out, and then they see a house they love, and they buy it in 2 months.
Right.
So that's why I say meet with them, figure out what the plan is, and then say, I'm gonna contact you, and if I see it. And I will put them on in our commissions Inc. You can do automated property search, like that. We don't do hot sheets when we MLS to clients. We don't do that. We do them, they come to us, and then we vet the hot sheet, and then we send the right one.
What is, I don't understand what hot sheet is.
So hot sheet is when you put a search in place in the MLS, and it sends you the results.
Right.
And you can set that up to go straight to the client. And we don't do that on our team, because we have spent all this time figuring out what they want, and we're gonna vet that, we're not gonna send them stuff they don't want. So instead of having that search result go straight to the client, we have this result come to us, we make sure that it matches their criteria,
And then they.
and then we send it to the client.
Oh,
So
it
when
is-
when you search for the home, and you do like the residential.
right, I
search,
mean, are you already putting that information
Yeah,
into?
But
the
now
Yes.
you just like create listing alert,
And you
and it will
say,
save that whole parameter. And then any property that comes up in that parameter, it will email to you.
But you wanna look at pictures to make sure.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's why we still vet it, right?
yeah,
Because
exactly.
most people's hot sheets are gonna be pretty broad, right? You don't want to,
Too specific.
you're too specific.
We don't wanna miss it, we don't wanna miss it, and sometimes we get a property that doesn't quite match their criteria, like, hey, this one is a little bit smaller than you wanted, but you know what, I thought maybe you want to see it anyway because the location is key for you.
But that's a really easy way we're working with. We're working with 10 buyers. You don't really have time to go on.
You can't go full
every
that
single
search
day
fresh
and
every day.
remake the search every time. It take you an hour and a half, just
Yeah.
search.
So we have it set up that all of our searches come in at the same time every day, that whatever time of day works for you, this is my time to go through homes, send it out to clients, we got the hot sheets, we get them out, and just make sure the showers are available. Okay, so but yeah, because you don't want to lose the transition between, and so what you're talking about, well, I call nurture. And so we want to have a system, follow up, make sure you have a dashboard, you can go in every day, pull up my tasks for the day, these are the people I can call today. Oh, this guy that I talked to 3 months ago, did you recall? So we're having a
That's
dashboard.
what I'm worried is that I'm becoming the inhibitor of that buying.
Yeah,
They're
waiting on
They're
you.
excited and then like, I mean, I have sellers that are like, yeah, I was looking to take pictures of my house. I'm like,
yeah.
You know, and so I've seen that a lot, and I think like, that's kind of what.
Yeah,
Well, I'm here, if you want to just.
Yes,
go over
okay.
that.
gotcha, numbers, I'm good. Okay, any questions about this, I mean, this process, go ahead.
Why would you not have an option though? Would you say every client's different? Because I know my clients I can support, they love it.
Mm-hmm.
They love getting notification right when I see it too.
Uh-huh.
And then they take a look and if they like it, they go, hey, that one just popped up. I like it. Let's go see
Yeah.
it.
And I think you totally can, if you have a client that you knew their personality. I have one that Jackie was sending them when they dropped up the instant, where we did some work, because, and they were like, can we please just go to a daily? Can we just get one a day? So we refined it, Jackie's, I just sent it.
But also we do because, like, for instance, we find people living in Park City, but they are really specific, they want carpet, they want a double vanity, they want.
Gotcha. So you're getting all these unnecessary things that they're like, no.
So, yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to prevent. You don't want them having these flood, and it's worse when you're in a buyer's market, there's lots of property.
Well, it's a big motivator for me, right, too, because I mean, if you have somebody who's like, I'm gonna buy a house tomorrow, they might want that day.
Yeah, it
You
might
have somebody
not.
who's like, when you find me the perfect home, send it to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can send it buyer.
Yeah, and I feel like everything we do in real estate is customizable. It's like
Yeah.
customizable. Make it
It all
work right,
depends
works
on
right.
That's like, has carpet, doesn't have to, you can spend it, and just read them out, this can be changed.
The one thing that I'd like to ask you, just, have all the answers, but what are your success rate? I mean, are a lot of you, are you a lot of kind of that quantity over quality person, where you're calling a lot of people a day? Maybe you guys have ISA that tend to do more of the appointment setting. What is your success rate to deployment? What is your success rate to closing? What is your success rate to pass on?
Yep, so when I first started, 2017 was my first year of production, and I tracked all those numbers. I tracked every appointment I set and held. Actually, I didn't track appointments set, I tracked appointments held. So appointments held, buyers signed, under contract, and closed. And so my stats are, for every appointment I hold, I'm at about a 75% close rate on my sign rate on my appointments. And then my held rate, my set to held rate is actually really high. When I set an appointment,
At 95%.
set to held. If I set the appointment with them, then 95% of the time they will.
95% of the time they come in, 75% of the time.
75% of the time they sign, and sometimes I'm digging into it with them, and we don't sign because I want them to go to credit repair or something like that. Sometimes I sign, and it doesn't matter, your conversion rate will fall through at some point. If you're signing people who aren't qualified to buy, and they're not gonna buy, you're gonna lose the conversion rate there. You're gonna have like from the sign to the end of the contract.
What's your sign to close ratio?
So my sign to close is about, my held to close is 50%. So the appointments that I hold to where I actually close is like 50%. So it's really.
So
it's
you're
about-
probably another 75% from sign to close.
Yeah, it's about 75% each time.
So having a 95% set to hold ratio is pretty good.
It's really good.
What?
And I know
What
that
is
because
your-
I see all our team
Yeah,
stats,
yeah. What is your, I mean, why?
because of that qualification, because I do that healthy mama, and I really have a conversation with them. And if they won't engage with me to have the conversation, then we don't set it. And I don't set it with somebody, I can tell that I've never agent or they.
How often are you getting that 10 to 15 minute conversation?
It depends on who we're talking to, and I don't do as much raw prospecting anymore. When I was in ISA, when I was doing a lot of database calls and things like that, it was probably, I probably only need to have 15 conversations to get to the ones.
15 conversations for you.
I think what you're getting at is if you spend a little bit more time, the quality goes up. Everything goes up. So I always tell everybody, I'm gonna spend a lot more time on the upside, and then we make up all that time in efficiency, because I know exactly what.
For sure. Well, that's kind of my, I mean,
Yeah, and I have one of the aides on our team is a single mom with limited time. Her sign to under contract to close rate is like 90%, because she vets you so hard in that first call that she knows if she's just under contract or not, because she cannot waste her time. So her sign to under contract is through the roof. She gets people under contract. She does not work with people. They can't buy a house.
And you'll show a lot less houses too.
and you pay your showing assistants a percentage, right?
We do a percentage of the after referral. So.
After referral. Okay.
Anything to end with?
The more you do it, the better you will get. Oh, last thing to end with. So when I finish this whole thing, the very last page in our paperwork says our promise. Okay, so our team has a promise. We have a goal to create experience for you. We just can't have to do that. All of our systems, all our people, everything we do is designed around the different. Now, it's real estate, there's people involved, there's gonna be challenges, but just know the other person, we are focused on what you want and what you need, and we're gonna stay out ahead of everything and keep things as smooth as they can be. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
Okay, awesome. So in return, something I want from you, while we're going through this process, you're gonna feel so good about what we're doing that I hope that we do money now. And I appreciate that, because referrals are one of our business. But I want you to take it one step further. When you come across someone who needs help with real estate, maybe they want to buy a house or sell a house from jobs, or they want to refinance real estate, I want you to get that information and get it over to me. And that way there's a 100% chance that I can get over. So just to be clear, instead of just passing my information to them, take it one step further, email me, text me, call me with their information, and then I can put them out. Can you do that first? Okay, because otherwise we get to the closing table, we bought your house, we're signing the paperwork, and if you haven't referred someone to me, I'm gonna wonder if our team failed on that promise. I'm gonna wanna have a conversation about what could we have done differently to improve everything. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And let's go by house, like physical contact, is that physical contact? So that my kids, Idaho, has like a 60% market share, and they do most of their work. That's because they do the promise, and then we have promise bits in between when we're asking for referrals to the process. So I started at the beginning of the presentation, it's the very last thing we do. And a lot of times I get like 2/3 of the way through that script, and they're like, oh yeah, my brother wants to buy a house, here's the new member. It's awesome. So, and I don't do a lot of cold prospecting anymore because I have lots of referrals.
I don't do a lot of cold prospect stuff, so
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I end on. I end with the promise. Hey, treat your clients good, take really good care of them, equitable service, good customer service, and then they'll come back to you. And they'll bring their family, friends, and we have a whole script around that promise as far as, hey, what does it take for us to live with you? What's a 10 experience? What's a 10 plus experience? What's a 10 plus experience? How do we make this so that you cannot imagine? And they always say things like, wow, I don't have no idea. It's already so great. I guess it'll be good if I want to know that I want you to call me back, call you, I want you to pick up the phone, so we talk about communication. Oh, and I just have to let you know I turn my phone off. Maybe 8 o'clock. And then I turn it up on at 7 in the morning. So you're welcome to call and text me anytime, you're not gonna bug me, and as soon as I get up in the morning, I'll call you back.
Do you have a separate business phone?
Yeah, I just put it on do not disturb. And then, but tell me about your schedule. What do you guys do for the bed? What's the latest on the channel? Do you have something to talk to you about? So we can get their schedule, talk about this conversation about expectations. And then a lot of times they say, find me the right house, find me a good deal. I don't want to feel like we overpaid. And you know what people are afraid of. So, tie that in and make sure. Okay. Go rocket, go sell a house. You guys are awesome for investing in your education and get better.
This was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
One thing I really like is the 5 months and 5 weeks.
Yeah.
If I had that, I would have had this presentation for my clients. We would have been under contract right now.
Yeah.
Like you said, if I got 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Keys in their pocket.
Yeah, and that's a Josh script.
And we found multiple of those that I keep thinking we're not gonna find another.
Yeah.
And I think if I would have reminded them, hey, this is a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
That you want.
This is your house.
This is your house.
Yeah, and remember, this is your whichever house. This is not, we're not up to here. So and I tell people at all price points, you're not gonna get all 10. I have people searching at $1 million and they can't get all 10. So if you get 7 or 8, you are doing good.
I think like something that's so special about that conversation too is I probably had 2, maybe 3 different clients in the last 6-7 months that the first house that we showed really was their favorite one.
Yeah.
And they did it right on her
Yes.
because they hadn't actually thought about what those wants and needs are.
Yes, and they didn't realize.
And they didn't realize, because part of me was like, well, if I go out and I shop for a house, how am I supposed to know the person's the best one?
Yeah.
But I probably have had, 3 different clients that talk to me like, this house is great, but that first one we wish we would.
Yeah.
And like that kind of hurts too a little bit, right? Where you're like,
I should have.
okay, glad I found you a mediocre one, but like, should have pushed you to really think about that. But so when I did show you that first house, you could have wrote that off.
Exactly, and that's the thing too, and you as their agent are their advocate, so it's your job. And I feel this way when I'm telling them how to write an offer. Hey, my job is to tell you what it will take to win it. If you don't want to do it, that's okay. But this is what it's going to take. And so it's going to take more than asking. It's going to take more workers. It's going to take. That's going to take a escalation. It's going to take a shorter due diligence. It might take harder money right on the table. So and it's the same thing in this house. I know it's the first house, and I'm really sorry to do this to you because I hate to show you the first house. It's like you don't want to marry the first person you date. But if they're really great, you should marry them.
Right.
This house is really great, and you haven't seen enough to know that. So I'm telling you, this house is really great, because it has this.
Yeah, but if they're able to say.
But if they can identify, yes, here's our docs. Josh would actually take that top 10 list and put it on the back of the MLS sheet. And so as they're walking through the house, he's like, check, 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 check. I mean, he literally would take it with him and show them, it has this, it has this, it has this, it has this. And if you go through that process and they still don't want that house, okay, I have missed something. Let's back up and talk about must-haves and would-loves. Because obviously something that I thought was a would-love is a must-have, because if you don't want this house, I gotta understand why, so that I don't bring more of this. So, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes you just can't pin it down, or you don't know, but if you start with this process, you are gonna have better success.
The part that she liked about was turning her phone off at night.
I put it on do not disturb, it doesn't mean I'm not using it.